Dark Age was different times. We had no city. Warlords and Iron Lords tore up the whole world trying to prove who was better, what was worth fighting for. I was busy trying not to starve. You ever go hungry till you keeled over? We did that a lot in the Dark Age. Our ghosts would bring us back, still hungry. Really pissed me off. There's one time I found a village to hide out in. A bunch of huts, really. Good people. They gave me work, and I kept my light a secret while I performed some minor miracles. Then the Iron Lords rolled into town. My ghosts stayed out of sight, and they were none the wiser. They cut a deal with us as if we had a choice. Paid us to let them hide out till some warlords showed up, then ambushed them. But we all got caught in the crossfire. My neighbor's kid told me something that still bounces around my head to this day. Right before the light went out in her tiny eyes, she whispered, "I can't feel anything." Yeah. I couldn't either. That's all I got. Cut the tape.
What's going on, ladies and gents, boys and girls, guardians of all ages? Joker back again, once again, and the loyalty quest. The choice between the Vanguard and the Drifter. An interesting first for Destiny. A quest that will have repercussions. And for Destiny, that's great. It leaves me hopeful for Destiny 3. And if some of Anon the Nine's lesser talked about leaks are to be believed, which I have no reason to believe they shouldn't be believed, Destiny 3 is going to be more RPG focused. One of the interesting hallmarks of the more modern RPG is that choice matters. So, we could be seeing Destiny 2 sticking the toes in the water of what the future content for Destiny could entail. And that's amazing. However, the reuse and recontextualization of old quests and old in-game assets to herald in this new direction for the Destiny franchise may not have been the best foot forward, and some, including myself, may see it as outright lazy. Granted, great idea, great prototype, pretty interesting execution, but you could have done more than reuse a couple of in-game assets that already existed and recontextualize them with new dialogue. I mean, this is a DLC people are paying for. Come on, guys. Best case scenario, this could be viewed as lazy reskinned content. Worst case scenario, it's Bungie completely and utterly disregarding their player base in lieu of that sweet, sweet money, doing as little work as possible to make as much money as possible. As new quests, new assets, new stuff would cost significantly more than just reusing what's already there. And I know calling a game developer lazy is a little taboo, but at the same time, my money and everybody else's money isn't your participation trophy. We paid for new content. We got reused, reskinned, old content. The second part of this video, and the bulk of it, comes down to the choice. This isn't a choice between the Drifter and the Vanguard. It's a choice between the Drifter and a warlock from the Praxic Order named Aunor.
I thought the city had made you all soft. But there's this hardliner, a warlock named Aunor. Pretty sure she's trying to kill me. She crashed a handoff between me and the shadows of yore in Midtown. My buddies took a hostage and she took out a city block getting them back. Some people didn't make it out. How's that for hypocrisy? She jumped the shark on that one. I would have talked them down. No one had to get hurt. I hope the Vanguard are happy. I heard word from hunter dens across the city. This Aunor's been building a crew to look into me in the shadows. Bunch of clowns. One of them is this Guardian, a hero of the Red War. Just like you. One of Cade's friends. Just like you. A Gambit regular, except they're a snitch. Have been all this time. I don't mind. As long as they keep bringing motes, we're square. You watch your back out there, partner. Your friends might not be what they seem.
Aunor and the Praxic Order by extension, who seemingly align with her ideology, are represented as religious zealots, very similar to the Spanish Inquisition.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition!
The Praxic Order seems to have this very guilty until proven innocent mentality, and are not above outright murder if they think you're a threat, regardless of whether they can prove it or not. Take this lore entry from the pre-season of the Drifter web lore. Ikora stepped into Lab 3, followed by Ophiuchus. If that idiot thinks we don't recognize him, it would be easy to empty a shotgun into his back and wait for his ghost to show up. Aunor interrupted. It must be close by. She stared at an image of Cade's final moments. In the same entry, Aunor tells Ikora Sundance was murdered by the Barons of the Tangled Shore. They pulled their resources together to craft a single thorn-like bullet. Had they missed, the very last few months would have played out very differently. The hunters might still have their vanguard, but I admit that I see no reason to believe the official report. Ikora nodded. Most reliable guardian I know, she said softly. Now, this is important, because prior to this lore entry, there was another lore entry titled The Murder of Cade 6, which takes place just moments before this conversation between Aunor and Ikora. In it, we learn or we're told two things, and the being told part is important, because this revelation is kinda stupid. We're either being lied to, or this is one of the worst retcons Bungie has ever pulled out of their ass. We learn that Sundance appears to have been the victim of a single catastrophic wound from a Devourer bullet, modified to fire from a Scorn launcher, projectile classified as ontological. Define Devourer bullet. Payload matches the ballistics of a weapon of sorrow, or a comparable Hive implement. And second, that Aunor is investigating the possible involvement of the hero of the Red War in the death of Cade 6. Let's go ahead and go back to that first part for a moment. The revelation that it was a thorn-like bullet that killed Cade's ghost. This is just after being told, though, that Scorn weapons can't kill a ghost. The implication being that a thorn-like weapon is required to kill a ghost. You're telling me the Prince of the Awoken, the head of this huge spy network, doesn't know that it took an ontological weapon to kill Guardians? Or that he knew and equipped his army so regardless? That, sure, fine, whatever, I might be able to justify it. But then he goes about killing the Hunter Vanguard. What did he think would happen? Did he not think that people would come take revenge? So you killed the Hunter Vanguard, not thinking that people would come take revenge, while equipping your forces with weapons that are completely and utterly ineffective against Guardians? I'm supposed to believe that. That makes no sense whatsoever. But you know what? Okay, Aldrin was crazy. Fine, fair enough. Not a good excuse, but whatever. That just brings us back to the fact that in the lore, characters like Petra, Rasputin, Siva, the Cabal, the Fallen, the Vex, they've all killed Guardians, and they didn't have magic paracausal thorn bullets. Hell, the Vex didn't even understand what the light was up until recently. And the Cabal, they would just nuke them from orbit, killing Guardians and their ghost. That's how Petra did it as well. And we have stories of Fallen just hunting ghosts in the forest. So we know that a ghost can die pretty easily. Shax backs this up as well in the message from Aunor 4 when he says that the Crucible is as much training for Ghost as it is Guardians. Well, if Ghosts can't die to anything but thorn bullets or paracausal weaponry, then why would a Ghost need to train if they can only die in very, very specific circumstances that they can't really train for? So this idea that Ghosts can only die to paracausal weaponry makes absolutely no sense. The lore tells us that Ghosts can just die, pretty easily, like everybody else. And if the Barons did in fact have a Devourer bullet, then why not kill Cade from the start? We've seen from the past that these bullets will kill Guardians without killing the Ghost. Look at Jaren Ward. So there's a couple of things happening. Either Aunor or this computer, take your pick, is either wrong or outright lying. Or, of course, this could just be one of the stupidest retcons we've seen yet. I want to say she's wrong, or lying, or probably a little bit of both. In a conversation she has with Lord Shax, we read, "What do you have? Our site's the only one watching up there. European Dead Zone, Earth, 3 Guardian fatalities. Dreaming City, The Reef, 2 Guardian fatalities. Nessus, Unstable Centaur, 1 Guardian fatality. Tangled Shore, The Reef, 3 Guardian fatalities. ... I know. A sudden distortion in the feed from light-based radiation. You missed. And ruined my wall. If I wanted to hit you, you'd look like that wall. What happened to stepping on him the second something went wrong? Those Guardians knew the risk. We take them every time we raid the outer edges or run a strike. Gambit's the same. These were not Thorn incidents. In each case, non-Guardian hostiles caught Ghosts unprepared. The Crucible's as much for them as it is us. He doesn't watch the arenas like you do. He's reckless. We need him. It's working. If we lose another Guardian, he's out. Did you forget how many of us died that first night of the war? I buried all the ones I could find before dawn. How about we stop burying Guardians altogether? Get him in line, or I'll kill him and his ghost myself. And yet, Shaxx has the right of it. Guardians have died in the Crucible. Dredge and Yor killed the Titan Thalor. Guardians have been killed by Rasputin multiple times when Zavala sent them to make contact. And in the Song of Savathun, 9 Guardians were sent to their death by the Vanguard to stop a ritual that wouldn't have happened without those Guardians' void light. Meaning the Vanguard's intel was bad, and lest we forget the Great Disaster, where hundreds of Guardians were sent to their death. And on that one, it wasn't just the Vanguard, it was the Consensus. So the city's governing body has also sent Guardians just to die. And Shaxx fully opposed going to Mara Ibrium. And yet, Shaxx seems as okay as anyone can be with Gambit. Who am I going to side with? Shaxx, who hasn't been wrong yet, or the religious zealot, who's already been wrong about us having anything to do with Cade's murder. And then there's the fact that there's more going on here than Aunor understands. She has a one-track mind. She's obsessed with the shadows of Yor, believing the Drifter to be one, and at one point he was.
If you're gonna hang with me, you need to know about the shadows of Yor. They follow the edicts of a very bad man named Dredgen Yor. And what are his shadows after? Everything the light can't provide. I thought they could help me find an answer to the battles of light versus light that raged during the Dark Age. But the longer I flew with them, the more I saw they're blind as all those who follow the Traveler. One albatross for another. I was done with them. And that title I gave out, Dredgen, I did it to piss them off. Draw the shadows out where I could see them. Worked like a charm. I love all you little Guardians. You're so forthright, so eager to please. That make you angry? Good. Use it.
And we were shown a vision of a shadow of Yor trying to kill the Drifter. So, there is that.
It's about time someone taught you respect, little man.
Someone like you? I know you all keep tabs on me.
Yeah, you've been straying. You don't even use his name no more.
Well, that's why I'm still breathing, brother. Gambit is a chance at salvation. Take it.
You were always so afraid Shin would get you. Sorry, old friend.
Behind you. Oh boy. Easy. Easy now.
Dredgen.
No, not anymore. It's Drifter now.
You have proven yourself worthy. Accept this gift from the knife.
A gift? What gift?
Now, there are a lot of moving parts here, but the best summation of events going on can be found in the lore card Revelations and Invitations, part of the Rose and Thorn book. A revelation. So, now the truth. You've earned it. My name is Shin malphur. My name is Zaire Arase. My name is Dredgen Vale. And all those who fall to darkness will answer to my steel. The shadows, the Drifter's gambit, the seeding of fear that the infamous man with the golden gun was on the hunt, blinded by allegiance to the light and gunning for all those who would tempt the darkness. A necessary deception, offering two paths in order to draw out those eager for power beyond their means. Malfeasance was a gift, a sample to gauge the true hearts of those who would revel in the Drifter's games. Those sated by its wicked power were keen enough to know their limits. Those hungry for more? A danger worth tracking. In some cases, a danger in need of confrontation. But the game has only just begun, and I risk much like this here, offering you an olive branch of truth and trust. Yes, I've led you to believe I was your friend and the shadows my enemies, and yours. If all I've just revealed calls that into question, know that it shouldn't. The shadows are a danger. We are guided by the evolution and controlled methods of Dredge and Yor, except instead of death and destruction, I'm offering the mysterious and the powers of the darkness as bait for those that would otherwise freely go into the abyss. I've built the perfect trap with which to call the weak-willed, and it is working. An invitation. The Vanguard and I are not enemies. We simply have different methods. But, to their credit, they have allowed my actions, as they have a wide array of concerns to fill their attention. Not that they haven't helped in small ways. Snippets of conversations to plant the shadows as a threat. Feigned ignorance of the Drifter's game and its consequences. Zavala prefers more straightforward tactics, but even he agrees that, as Guardian numbers grow, it is vital to test the true mettle of those trusted to safeguard our fragile survival. But others, the Guardians who have joined me, Tobin, Berga, Johan, Xena, they're all believers in our cause. And Callum, the truest hero, who made the purest sacrifice. His death was noble, and by my hand, but not a hateful thing. His part was and remains key to sealing the temptation of any who would give themselves to sorrow's road. All who would take up arms in his name will be enemies of all he held dear, and they will be punished. You have my word. I am burdening you with the full reality of the gambit at play because I believe in you. My earlier words, my gifting of the last word, that was earned and all true. You are the future of this war. You, and a few like you, are the warriors who can walk the line between light and dark. And so, I ask you, are you up to the task? Or have I risked all, struggling to build on a hero who is not yet ready to become legend, Shin malphur? So basically, plots within plots. When Ikor and Shaxx tell Aunor to leave the Drifter be, it's because they have, perhaps, not the entire picture, but enough to understand the importance of what's going on. To know that a plan to deal with the shadows is in motion. But not just the shadows. The shadows are nothing more than a means to an end. But anyone who would be weak enough to fall to a doctrine of hate, empowered by total corruption, by siding with the Drifter, you're siding with Shin malphur. You're siding with the Vanguard. You're siding with Shaxx. And of course, you're siding with the Nine.
Only two others have transcended their design. The first, an hourglass counting down with infinite patience. The second, a forgotten blade sharpened anew. And now, the Dredgen. Visit us again. We wish for you to understand what we understand. For now, it is my purpose to speak to you and you alone. But only if you remain worthy.
And of course, there's always this.
Hey, you made it to the last part of my little seminar. You caught me without much else to say. Already talked your ear off. But I guess there is one thing. I want you to know that you're the closest thing to a wheel horse I've had in, 1,000 years. I can see you making that face like you just swallowed some scorn blood. Wheel horse is an expression, kid. It's dark age for we're tight. That's what you kids say, right? So here's something I never had the chance to tell anyone else on account of they're dead or trying to kill me. Don't give in to hope. That gets you killed. Take every day as it is. Trade your jump ship for a long-range hauler and see the universe while you can. I want the best for you, kid. And you won't find that in this system. Speaking of which, the collapse wasn't the last extinction-level event to hit humanity. Old Drifter's seen another one coming. Everything I'm building in the 9 realms is preparation. There's a few seats I'm saving. One of them is for you, if you want it.
And in the end, after all of this, what does Aunor have to say? Those tapes you found contain the scraps of truth we'd been hunting for all this time. It's just not the truth I was expecting. I've been looking at that man expecting a dangerous criminal mind. Living, breathing, evil the likes of Dredge and Yor. And instead, I got... what? Tragedy? Pathos? Well, he's pathetic, alright. I've made my final report to the Order. I am comfortable with the decree they've issued. The Drifter shall remain under close watch, but he presents no direct threat for as long as he cooperates with the Vanguard and Lord Shaxx. The shadows of Yor that Gambit conned out of hiding have been thugs with guns and ghosts mostly. They have less bite than the Dredgens of Yor. Little wonder Shin didn't show up. These fools aren't worth his time. I'm trying to take this as a lesson in the dangers of presumption, but in my defense, the Drifter smells like a rat. Still does. I'll see you out in the field. I've got paperwork to file. It would be easy for the player to dismiss what the Drifter says in those tapes as too picture book perfect. The right set of circumstances and excuses to justify the psychology of a sociopathic doomsday prepper. That something's off, there's more to this, that he's lying. And, inevitably, there is something more. For every ounce of truth, there's likely a lie. But even then, events like a town being destroyed by the Iron Lords and the Warlords, an event that likely set the Drifter on his path to become who he is, to mistrust the light, I believe it happened. And so does the Praxic Order, an organization that would at least have the resources to look into something like this. And they believe it happened enough to call off their witch hunt. Aunor says, I'm trying to take this as a lesson in the dangers of presumption. And yet, based on those presumptions and nothing more, she would have killed the Drifter. Hell, she would have tried to kill us.
Oh, what are you gonna do? Grab that guy who can stop me?
What was his name? Michael doesn't exist.
Based on her presumptions and nothing more, she would have killed us, believing we had something to do with Cade's death. Had it not been for the Vanguard, she would have killed innocent people. And this is why context matters. This isn't a battle between the Drifter and the Vanguard. The Vanguard and Lord Shaxx, they're well aware of what's going on. So to frame it as such is disingenuous and kind of lazy. This is a battle between the Praxic Order, the Destiny version of the Spanish Inquisition, and anyone and everyone they have decided has committed heresy today. It might be a different group of people tomorrow. In the Stolen Intel lore, Ikora muses about disbanding the Vanguard. I hope Bungie doesn't use this quest as justification for that. Because, realistically, that's not what was indicated at all. And if we disband the Vanguard, what stops a faction like the Praxic Order from stepping into that power vacuum? Like I said, if Aunor had her way, innocent people would have died based on presumptions and nothing more. Her presumption starts at guilty until proven innocent, not innocent till proven guilty. If anything, the global outcome of this quest is a case for the continued existence of the Vanguard, and the raising of a new bureaucratical leader to take the place of the former speaker so the Vanguard can do their job.